to it, let us begin to do these things that we claim to do. And we'll begin with Rocketman, the biopic of the person who forgot to silence their phone. Sorry. Yes, we're going to begin with Rocketman, the biopic of Mr. Reginald Dwight. Scott, take it away.
Yes, or better known, of course, as Elton John, who has never been an artist that I ever reach for reasons I don't think I'd properly examined until the release of this film. And I think it's because at the time my musical tastes were developing and, well, let's be honest, ossifying. Elton was bashing out saccharine drivel like Candle in the Wind and Circle of Life, which I'd be quite pleased if I never heard again in my entire life. Thank you so very much.
Yes, once was honestly too many for at least one of those.
Yes. Perhaps somewhere in my mind was a vague appreciation of some of his earlier work, but in general, the amount of brain cycles I devote to Elton John in a typical year is zero. Therefore, not all that fussed about a film that chronicles his rise to stardom and subsequent collapse into a pile of drugs. Yet, that's what I watched in Rocketman with Taron Egerton, wearing the comical shades of the showman in later years, although we're also looking at his early life, the discovery of his talent for the piano and a family life that's at best cold, particularly from his idiot hole of a father. We jump around in time through the framing device of an addict support group, where he relates his life story in typically fabulous regalia, through his songwriting pairing with Jamie Bell's Bernie Taupin and romantic pairing with Richard Madden's John Reid, the huge success that came with breaking into the American market, and how he turned to drugs and casual sex to deal with the pressure of all this. That, at least, is it in a nutshell. If you want more details, then there's plenty of Wikipedia articles out there on Elton's life. This is not, by any measure, a complete history of his life, nor an entirely accurate one. The usual cinematic shortcuts have been made. But I read an article by John in The Guardian a couple of weeks back where he says this has the emotional truth of it at least, and I'm inclined to believe it. It's not sugarcoating or minimising any of his less than exemplary behaviour or how he was treating other people and himself at his lowest. So it's not unvarnished exactly, but it's light coating at worst. It does have a good amount of charm, and Egerton is very good in the lead role. It weaves the best of John's early career songs into the narrative in as organic a way as you're going to get for this sort of thing, and I found it to be a surprising amount of fun. In that regard, it's all like Bohemian Rhapsody, except without having to ignore the whole sexual assault of a minor thing. And indeed, in Dexter Fletcher, the films share an unofficial director after Singer went to ground at the tail end of filming Bohemian Rhapsody, so the boy from Press Gang, done good. A lot like when I went to Bohemian Rhapsody, I had no particular expectations for liking any of it, and it turned out to be very enjoyable indeed. Solid drama, lots of well-produced songs, production tunes, and yeah, it all just worked quite well. Quite easily recommending this to anyone who, even someone with no interest whatsoever in Elton John, as long as you have a bare tolerance for some of his music, then you should get some joy out of this. It's perhaps not as broadly palatable as Bohemian Rhapsody. It's got a few more spiky edges where it's not rounding the story down so much to appeal to a broader audience. This one's perhaps a little bit closer to the truth, dare we say it. But yeah, for my money, well, that almost makes it a better film. Perhaps slightly less enjoyable, but probably better in a number of regards. Yeah, definitely worth giving it a go too.
Bohemian Rhapsody was what was very much in my mind when this was coming out. Mm-hmm. That it seemed to be a sheer similarity, certainly. Mm-hmm. However, while I thoroughly enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody, even though it bears sod no relation to anything that happened, I think, really.
Yes.
I love Queen's music and always have.
Yeah.
Elton John's music is there. I guess I could probably name 3 songs that weren't the 2 you mentioned. And that's the problem. It's like anytime I've ever seen Elton John be interviewed, he always seems like a bit of an asshat. And I don't. And then there's the whole Candle in the Wind thing, which made me, despise him because that sodding song in this sodding country. But, yeah, I just had no interest in his music, so I made no effort to see this, so I didn't. And I was slightly turned off by his completely egregious turn in the second Kingsman film, although the fact that Taron Egerton's playing him there maybe explain that a little bit more than it did. It just seems so out of order at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've given me some hope. I might check it out. I sort of feel like I don't like Taron Egerton until I watch him again. It's like, I should not quite like him. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. He's actually quite likeable in the surprisingly good Eddie the Eagle.
Yes.
Which may actually also be directed by Dexter Fletcher. Now I think
yes, it is, yes.
Yeah. So that's a surprising connection there. But so I actually do quite like it, so I'll probably catch up on it at some point. The problem is just I don't care about Elton John. But if you're saying even if you don't, it might be worth watching, and I'll believe you. You seem a trustworthy fellow for the most part.
Yeah, well, for me at least, it was the songs that it does go into any depth are always the ones that are actually a bit less annoying to me. There's some earlier stuff like Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting and that kind of thing. So
that's one of the three.
One of the some of the more up tempo stuff rather than the more maudlin nonsense. So yeah, worth a go. Yes.
Okay.